Welcome to Football Discussion Daily. My name is Joe, and I'm here with the co-host
TGO.
CGO or George. Today's the 29th of March, 2026. Please like us, subscribe us. We release long-form YouTube every day, short-form Instagram, TikTok. News today, a couple big things. France beat Colombia 3-1 in a friendly. This is a big deal because these are both big footballing nations, both qualified for the World Cup. And probably the biggest news today, Igor Tudor was the interim manager of Tottenham Hotspur. They sacked him today. They're framing it as allowing him to fulfill his family duties. Unfortunately, Igor Tudor's father passed away. I'm going to say it certainly seems like a convenient excuse, not to be dismissive of Igor Tudor and what his family is going through. We've seen other managers deal with that. Or Jurgen Klopp's mom died during COVID. But Tottenham Hotspur are framing it as family issues, Igor Tudor moving on. There's a lot of rumors going around who will come here next. A lot of the big names are rumored to say, I want a guarantee that you guys will stay up, or a lot of money if I don't keep you up. And they're rejecting Tottenham, including De Zerbi, including Sean Dyche. There's other rumors about Pochettino, Adi Hooter, possibly coming into this team. George, I'll just start with the Tottenham situation. Who do you think is the right fit for this squad at this point in time? That's a realistic hire for them.
Well, Joe, let's be honest. I'm beginning to think coaching is not the major problem of Tottenham. I think the board and the management of Tottenham, they need to look themselves in the mirror and tell themselves the truth. It's more like the problem is from them. Because how can you have a Jose Mourinho? Okay, so you tell us Mourinho is not good enough. You had Anthony Conte. Anthony Conte, you asked him to leave. Because remember, even at some point, Anthony Conte was even trying to direct some talks to the people in the board. That got them infuriated and they asked him to leave. And then we had Ange Postecoglou coming, and then we saw how it ended. Even though they had a terrible league season, they were able to win the Europa, but they asked him to leave. Then a Thomas Frank, which we all know did so well at Brentford, came and everyone thought, oh, he's going to be the Messiah, and then turned things around. We saw the way he struggled, and then you see a lot of players indisciplined. Because if we keep having players indisciplined, what it means is there are people who runs the club who are not doing what they're supposed to do. Because if you put in the right policies, there are disciplinary actions against players. Players will comply with whatever the coach has laid down. But when the people who are in charge of the club are giving the players so much freedom to do whatever they like, they are free to disobey the coaches, not following instructions. At the end of the day, you will end up putting the coach in a very bad spot. That was what happened to Igor Tudor when he came in as interim manager. Only spent 44 days in charge of the club. So this excuse you see them giving of, oh, he lost his father, I think it's just an excuse. They already had a plan of sending him packing because
No,
if you look at the results,
he was not great. Like I said, let's ignore his personal family situation is not for discussion in this podcast. Let's only discuss results in the pitch. But his results were not great. I think the Tottenham board this is probably Tottenham board realizing that this is years. You don't go from a top 6 club in this country to relegation. They're legitimate relegation candidates this season in 4 years, only because of coaching, only because of losing one player who is your best player of all time, and you get 100 million for him. But those are not the only reasons. This is years of bad signings. This is years of poor development. This is years of Harry Kane papering over the cracks of flaws. If honestly one of the greatest English players of all time, Harry Kane should absolutely be in the same breath as Rooney and Shearer. And again, he gave probably more years to this club than he probably should have. He could have gone anywhere in the world at 24, 25 years old. He stayed at Tottenham until he was 29 or 30. Good for him. I'm not judging Harry Kane. I don't think it'll impact his legacy as a player. It's for Tottenham. Elevated them maybe higher than they should have been. They used that success to build a stadium rather than to build a great structure and a team structure and the squad. and it's led them here, and it's just really interesting, George. I agree with you, George, that there's no accountability between the manager and the players, because the players know that the board has their back over the manager, and so the players are incentivized just to ignore the manager, and I've seen that all season. Thomas Frank is again a quality manager, but probably one that needs a little bit of a runway in order to succeed, and didn't have that. So, what were you asking, George?
So Joe, question I would like to ask you is that now they brought in Igor Tudor as an interim manager. The question you ask yourself, what was the criteria for them to bring this man in? Because this was a man who was appointed by Juve, and at Juve, he didn't even last. He was asked to leave because of a series of poor results. And then the Tottenham board, or will I say management, went ahead and hired such a manager. For a team that is struggling, that I don't think that's the kind of manager I would have brought in. So it seems they just saw who was just available and they went for it. I
That's what
don't
they
think they
did,
did their due diligence.
George. These teams don't have all these options. You're always like, you always bring up like a bigger club should sign X player or X manager. Well, like they can't, like, because that manager or player who's amazing isn't going to go to Tottenham. Like right now, we're hearing rumors. I heard a rumor today, and I don't know how true this is, that Roberto De Zerbi is basically saying, and Sean Dyche are both saying, I want a guaranteed 18-month contract. I want to be able to, until the end of next year, manage this club. And if you fire me, I want the full salary, because they're both good. They both have options, and they know that Tottenham is a poison chalice that has invested way too much money into poor players and are not going to are a 2-3 year project in order to be competing in the top six if they can again, if they can, which is a big if. So
Joe, to be honest with you, I feel that Dizabi, I support whatever condition or request is making, because if these guys don't do this, the management will not sit up. That's the only way they can get them to do what is right. Because if you want, because somebody like Roberto Dizabi, he has proven his worth. We saw what he did at Brighton, and even when he went to Marseille, did fairly well. So for such a manager, I'm sure he already has information of what other previous managers must have gone through with Tottenham. So that's why when you see them making this kind of demands, you even see Sean Dyche also making such requests. I don't blame them, because they also need to secure a job, at least one way or the other. Try to also get some level of commitment from the management of Tottenham. So what they are doing, it to me, is the right thing they are doing. If not, they will also go the same way other managers have gone with Tottenham.
yeah, I mean, but again, George, they need to hire somebody that can do two different things. Number one, can get them enough points over the next 7 games to keep them up, and immediately be effective. And number two, they need somebody who can develop these young players over, let's say, between now and the end of next season. Like I'm not. there are players like Mickey Van de Ven who I think should be gone the summer period. Find another team. Like he is just mentally just not listening to coaches. Whatever. Christian Romero, Pedro Porro, or maybe not Porro, but Romero has honestly had an awful season. Um, there are players in this team, Archie. I'm going to name two, Archie Gray and Bergvall, who will develop under the right circumstances. There are players coming back from injury, James Madison, Kulusevski, that next year can help those young players develop. There are players with a lot of talent. Xavi Simons has a lot of talent. Kolo Muani has a lot of talent. Have not had great seasons at Tottenham. If you remove a couple bad apples from that squad, and a couple players come back, I feel like those guys could be very strong, and the right manager can develop those. And what I'm saying, George, is this next 7 games and next season are two entirely different projects. I feel like Tottenham should get somebody in for the next 7 games, who let's get the points. Like I don't want to say Allardyce, but somebody like Allardyce, to just like, hey, like we need to stay up. We're all hands on deck, and then focus on the summer with a full preseason, because I feel like those are two monumentally different tasks for Tottenham, and both are equally important.
Like you said, at this point, I'm sure any, will I say, top manager or a manager that we can rate maybe as a middle class manager will be worried to take up this job, because this is a very difficult task. to take up at this point, because you need to see how you can take the team out of relegation. Because I don't think Tottenham will want to keep a manager that will get them relegated. I guess that's why coaches like De Zerbi, Sean Dyche are requesting for the 8 months contract, at least guarantee their salary for 18 months. Just a way to make them, in case they are not able to get them out of relegation, they just want to make sure they secure the job. That's the whole idea, because it's a
Also,
difficult task.
if I'm Roberto De Zerbi, I'm like 45 years old, whatever. I've had 2 or 3 good stints. I've never been at a top club, but I've never failed at a top club. Like, is Tottenham my stepping stone to a top club? No. Like, Chelsea will call him when they fire Liam Rosenier, whether that's this 2 months from now or 12 months from now. He is going to get a call, and he will get a call when Manchester United fall out with Carrick. Like he should be on the short list. I don't know. He will get his chance. Tottenham is not going to help him get his chance, in my opinion. Tottenham is a poison chalice. I feel like it's a rough spot on Mourinho's career, on Conte's career, and I feel like even now it's even worse with so very interesting. I do say that, but Unai Emery did turn around Aston Villa pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So we'll
Yes.
see. We'll see. I still feel like that occasional Champions League run, occasional challenging for Champions League, like where Aston Villa's at, is where Tottenham's at long term.
So Joe,
Aston Villa also get relegated first.
So Joe, what do you think is the way out for Tottenham? What do you think they need to do for them to get out of this difficult situation they found themselves at this point?
I've told you, George. I think hire somebody like Allardyce. I don't know who that is. Somebody like him who's just like, hey, 7 games. I want you to do this. Maybe Allardyce. Maybe even Allardyce. Second piece, get somebody this summer. Somebody like Thomas Frank, who's going to develop the team. Get rid of the mental bad apple, the guys who aren't listening, aren't professional, like Van de Ven. Even if you have to lose a lot of money on them, and go back to a Thomas Frank like manager, somebody who's good at developing players. Give him a long runway, like 2 years, to do that.
That seems to be like a short-term solution. So what is your suggestion for a long-term solution for Tottenham, for them to get redemption?
I mean, of course, George, if they continue to miss on signings, they're going to continue to decline as a club. If they continue to sign players for a lot of money who, don't perform, they are going to decline as a club. There's no, I can't tell. I'm not a scout. I can't tell you which players they should sign. I think that they should revamp their coaching strategy. What do you think, George? Do you feel like there's an out for Tottenham, an easy out?
I don't think it's only about signing. I think they need to also give any coach that comes in the authority to instill discipline in the team, because that's also very key. It's not about signing. You might sign great players, but if there is indiscipline in the team, nothing good will come out of it. So that's one major area they really need to work on, because during the time of Mourinho, we noticed some signs of indiscipline in the team. When Antonio Conte came, Antonio Conte is a no-nonsense coach. He's a man who is highly disciplined when it comes to training his players. He had the same issue, complained about the attitude of the players. So I think it's something that has to be addressed from the top. So these are very important things the board has to address if they want to solve a problem for the long term. That's my own opinion.
I also think that, again, Harry Kane, when you have a player who's so much better than the rest of the players in the team, which I believe Harry Kane was, and you see him working his butt off every single game, every single practice, like the other players look to that and they see that and they're like, oh, he's better than me and he does that. And like, it's a subconscious thing. And I do feel like some of the cracks were there, and Harry Kane helped paper them over, not only from his ability on the field, but he's a high character guy. He's a hardworking fellow. He's all of that on the training pitch, everything you want in a leader and a captain. And I do feel like the other, these players did see him doing that, and it's like, oh, I can't slack off if Harry's not slacking off. So when he left, it impacted that. So But yeah, George, I'm with you. Discipline. I think that we're starting to see in this world where managers have less and less power and are more removed from the player signing side of things, and the ownership is sporting directors. There's more involved. I think we might see more situations like this where, player power is just the culture there is quite intense. So, all right, George, let's talk about Colombia, France, real quick. This is the 3-1 game. I will say, George, quick question: the French front four, Olise, Mbappe, Ekitike. That's the front three. Is that the best? I forget who the other front four person on the front four was. Was it Is it the best front four in the world? And Doué, sorry, Desiree Doué. Is this the best front four that you've seen in an international level?
Because if you look at this team, the French team looks very, very, for me, they are attacking force. I don't know if there is any other country that has that kind of attacking force. Because even if you look at the people that play today, the players that play this game, they are more like the second 11. Even the way you are mentioning is not even the starting 11 of the
No,
French team. It's not there. Because if you look at the game they played against,
but all four of those players ended the game, though. The four players I just mentioned did
yes,
end the game together,
yes, yes,
and
yes.
I feel like they are as good as a starting four that you'll get on any international team.
Because a team that has the current Ballon d'Or winner, Ousmane Dembele, you have Kylian Mbappe. That's one of the best, if not the best in the world now. You have a player like Michael Olise. That's this a team that has great quality. And then they have on the bench, you have players like Marcus Thuram who played today as the the point man, and he got a goal in this game. Also provided an assist for Desire Doué. So when you look at the attacking options of the French, you see that they have lots of options. So I don't know if there is any team currently that has that amount of options like the French team. So that's why you see, I see them as one of the favorites for this coming World Cup. They are one of the major favorites,
You know,
apart from
George,
maybe the Spanish.
one big takeaway I have too is like N'Golo Kante. Like I don't watch him play on the club level anymore, but like he pops up in these games every now and again. I guess he's like 34, 35 years old. Incredible.
I was
He's
very impressed. Even if you watch the game against Brazil, he came in as a sub and he was able to. There was one clean marking he made. I think the Brazilians were on the attack, and
uh-huh.
the way he neatly intercepted that attack, it
You know,
was something very impressive. And today he did so well in the
George, I
game.
just looked this up because I was curious. It's his birthday today, N'Golo Kante, March 29th, 1991. So he's turning 35 today. Happy birthday, N'Golo Kante, if you're listening.
No, that guy was. I was very impressed the way he played today.
Yes.
Um, because somebody of his age, you would think maybe he would have lost his team, but you can still see the way he marks. When it comes to marking, N'Golo Conte is one of the best I've seen when it comes to
Yeah.
marking, and you see him hardly get scared whenever he marks. So
No.
he's somebody that does, and he doesn't get tired. That's you ask yourself, how does this guy have so much energy? And when you look at the size of the person doing this, you think somebody who should be doing this is somebody who should be very, very,
That's
very
how he keeps his
tall or
energy.
huge.
He
But
keeps his energy because he's like 3'2" and 20 pounds. That's how he keeps his energy. Like I couldn't do that because I'm a little bit bigger. A little, I don't know if I'm taller, but definitely heavier than N'Golo Kante. So I think his size helps. It's really hard to pick a fault in Conte's game. Possibly in the aerially, he's not known for that. He's not known for a guy who's going to crash the box and help you score goals. But and when I talk about these controlling type midfielders, guys who can set the tempo of a game, and Conte can do that. He's not as good as Modric at doing that or Cruz, but he can absolutely do that and did that for Chelsea and Leicester and was fantastic at it. And there's a reason he won back-to-back titles with two different teams and was the best player on both teams. That is absurd, and I don't think will ever happen again, especially not from a midfielder player. in the Premier League.
Can you think of any player that is a good ball winner like N'Golo Kante? I don't think I can't think
I,
of any
I
player that is as good as winning the ball because he does it
Rob,
without receiving cards. That's one thing
yes,
I love about him. He does it
but
in a very nice way without getting cards. Because you see some players, they are good in winning balls, but most times you see them getting yellow cards, even getting red cards sometimes. But this guy does it in a very smart way.
Rodri gets a lot of yellow cards and he's good at winning the ball, but his yellow cards are mostly professional fouls, and that's a tactical setup from Pep Guardiola, I think. So, like, a lot of times, again, he'll get, but he very rarely gets yellow cards in actual ball winning tackles. The vast majority of his yellow cards, I'd be willing to bet are professional fouls. But you're right. I think it's a very valid point. It's a very rare skill set for a guy. I think it's impressive. One of the hardest things to do as a soccer player is when you win the ball, know the exact right pass to take. A lot of times midfield players are coached like make the safest pass once you win the ball, because you don't have the best perspective on what a dangerous pass is. If you can win the ball and make a dangerous pass with basically the same movement, the same play, and Conte is good at this, so is Rodri. It opens up your team, because when you win the ball is the moment the other team's defense is in the worst setup to defend against you. And the quicker you get up the field, the more chaotic they're going to be when you get the ball in their opposing box. And Conte is really good at I win the ball, and it's basically on the attack right away, one touch. And so is Rodri. It's just a unique skill set that is very hard to coach and to practice.
Were you surprised with the outcome of the game today between Colombia and France? Considering that the French team played with almost their second 11 against a first 11 side of the Colombian team.
No, in France would not surprise me if they beat anybody 3-1. I think this Colombian team has a lot of quality, but I think that
Yes,
even both teams best 11, any teams, but France will be favored against anybody in this World Cup except for maybe Spain. And I mean, they could get beat because they're not. I don't think they're as good as France was 4 or 8 years ago, but they will be favored against anybody that's not Spain. And
because the likes of James Rodriguez, who is their captain, was played the game. We had the Luis Diaz, we had the Jefferson Lehman Jefferson. We had the likes of Davinson Sanchez. These guys played. Then Daniel Munoz, but Daniel Munoz today, I don't know if you know him. He plays for Crystal Palace. Today he wasn't too good when it comes defensively, and that was why the French team took advantage of that his position. That was where Desiree Drouet was able to get 2 goals from. So that was, I think they need to work when it comes to their defensive structure, because they didn't close up a space, and that was what gave the French team the opportunity to get those goals they had today. So the Colombians have a lot of work to do.
a lot of work. All these teams do. I mean, there's a lot of work to do between now and June. George, let's end today's session with a couple questions. Number one, could Conte still do it in a top 5 league? And what other player is most like Conte, do you think? I think George and I are both impressed. Are the French front four, the best front four in international football history? I'm talking, and so I say the last 30 years. This is the best international front four of the last 40 years, 30 years. Tottenham, what is wrong with them? Do you feel like they should go for a long-term manager right now, like some of the rumors about Dyson, or do you feel like they should go for a short-term interim to keep them up and reset this summer? I feel like there's a lot of viable paths. What is at core wrong with Tottenham? And of course, George and I will see you tomorrow. We'll be discussing our preview of the UEFA qualifiers and the cross federation qualifiers. Excited to see you. Thank you. Bye.